Hi. Now there were quite a few people who wanted to see what was on this Handifax 1000 operate instruction VHS video, so I thought I'd try and capture it. So what I've done is I didn't have a VCR, so I've salvaged a VCR which just so happened to be down in the junk room. Somebody had tossed it out. It's an NEC. It's one of these modern, in quote marks, dual DVD and VCR 6-head. Oh, 6-head hi-fi stereo. Love it. And so it's one of these VCRs. So I salvaged it. I don't know if it works or not. But we'll give it a try because it's the only VCR I've got. It did have a Shark Tale DVD stuck in it. So presumably that's why it was tossed out. But anyway, I've decided to hook it up to a HuPorg, if that's how you pronounce it. No idea how to pronounce that. It's one of these HD PVR capture boxes, and I've got Alan Garfield to thank for that. He sent me that, so thank you very much, Alan. So I've got that hooked up to the composite video output on this thing, and I thought we'd give it a go. Like, the reason I've got the lid off is not only to show you inside, but also because I put the tape in before and it got stuck. It chewed up a bit of the tape. So to free it, I had to open the thing up. So here you go. If you haven't seen inside a VCR before, a lot of you young people probably have it. There's the head, which spins around. The top half, I believe, it's only the top half spins around, and you can see those little notches. You can see those little notches in there. They're the little heads, I believe, and there'll be 6 of those spread around. So as it spins spins diagonal, and the reason it's diagonal like that is because it sweeps across the tape as it travels through. I'm not really up on the theory of how VCRs worked anymore. I did have a little bit of a clue, 20 odd years ago or something like that. But there you go. That's a 6-head hi-fi VCR head, and it spins around. I'm not sure, at a couple of hundred RPM or something. And there's a little drive motor and some cogs to operate all of the pinch rollers and stuff like that. And I'll put the tape in a second, and you'll see it all operate. But there's not much to it. The old-fashioned VCRs used to be a lot more complicated than this. They would have belts and pulleys, and I mean, this one still has there's a pulley down in there. Looks like it's still got a belt on it, but they had a lot more belts and pulleys and pinch rollers and things, or they seem to. That's my recollection of it anyway, back in the old days. So, but they still have a few pinch rollers, and the tape, you'll see the tape will actually go up here. These sliders will slide along there like that and actually wrap the tape around the head like that. And anyway, here's the switch mode power supply, as fairly common inside, almost universal actually, inside these sorts of consumer appliances. They build them down to the last cent, so they use a single-sided board for the switch mode power supply. There's not much for the DVD player. It just connects over to the main board down in there. They've got a fairly looking modern main PCB down there. Half the components aren't populated, which again is common, maybe for different models or something like that. We've got our tuner over here and our output connectors, and there's not much else to it. So hopefully this sucker's going to work. It's fairly modern. It's got one of these 2D barcodes on it. There you go. So anyway, let's give it a go. Hopefully it won't chew it up again. And here we go. There we go. It pulls the tape around the head like that, and you can probably hear that or see that spinning at the very least. So it spins around the tape, and it looks like it's ready to go. So I've got my software up there, and we'll give it a go. So as you saw there, it's got several steps it goes through when you insert the VCR in here. Once you push it in the front here, because you'll notice that it's actually it's dropped down inside there. So you push it in. They've obviously got a sensor which detects that the tape has been inserted, and then they've got rollers in there which grab it and drag the tape in, and then it drops. Then they've got you can probably see the mechanism there, which the tape sits in, and then it levers down like that and pushes the VCR down onto the transport plate, or the transport mechanism down in there, and then it lifts up the flap here, because the flap has to lift up, which actually protects the tape during transit and handling and things like that. And it's got a little latch on the right hand side here which pushes in, it releases that, there's an arm which comes in, motor lifts it up like that, and then the rollers in there can get inside, and they actually get behind the tape, and then they roll out like that, and it pulls the tape and wraps it around there. It wraps it around and it makes physical contact with these things as it spins and moves, and that tape is moving now. You can see it. You can see it rotating in there. So it drives it from this side, and so there's another motor in there which drives that. So there's several motors and lever arms and things like that inside one of these VCRs. So, but I think that's a relatively simple operation, really, for one of these. As I said, I think they were much more complicated than this back in the original types. They seem to have had a lot more in them, but as you can see, that's why these tapes wore out. You had to clean them. There were alignment issues. You'd have to demagnetize things. It was, these things had to be serviced, and that was a big industry, back in the day, servicing your VCR. Your tape got stuck in there and it chewed up the tape, so you'd have to cut some off, you'd have to rewind it, and these things required a lot of percussive maintenance and a lot of care to actually use them. And of course kids would shove things, they'd shove toys inside there. So one of the most common jobs for any VCR service tech was to extract toys from inside the transport mechanism in there, because little Johnny shoved his little toy car inside the VCR, or shoved his peanut butter sandwich in there. I love it. Okay, so let's stop this thing and let's rewind it, and we'll take a look at what happens when it rewinds. Once again, there we go. Hey. Woo! Doesn't sound good. And it slows down when it gets to the end, and then it should ka-chunk, 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 stop, and yeah, and it forwards it. It takes up the tension on the tape. I think that's what it was doing there. And let's eject this thing, and you'll see the this mechanism on the side lift up. There's one of the arms, I think, for lifting the flap there. So, and this one here lifts the transport mechanism. So it looks like it all works in one continuous step, driven by that cog down in there, which almost looks like it's sitting on the PCB actually. So that's rather curious. Anyway, let's eject this thing and have a look. Bingo! And our tapes back out. Thank you very much. 80s technology. I love it. I'll give you another perspective of that as it's pushed in. You can see that's the mechanism there that holds the tape, and there we go. Boom. And it automatically starts playing. Ribbon cable going to it there with the 4 pins on the back. I'm sure that one is the sound head, because if you look on the front surface, you'll see the head which is on the edge of the tape, because the video's in the middle, and I believe the audio is encoded right out on the edge of the tape itself. And you should be able to see the actual sound head pickup itself on the top and the bottom there of the sensor head. And some people desperately wanted to see this thing switched on. And yes, it is just the micro switch in there, I believe. So let's... Oh, beep. Beep. Let's press the on-off button. Oh, nothing. Is it contrast? Oh. Hello, McFly. It's beeping, but looks like she ain't working anymore. Whether or not that has something to do with the teardown or whether or not it just never worked, I have no idea. Obviously, to get that beep, the processor itself is working, but looks like we have nothing on the screen. Bummer. Sorry.
Whether you're working from the office,
well, there you go. It's working, and I will try and capture the real video and play the entire tape after this if you really want to watch it. But it looks like it's not framed that correctly. That's completely way out. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I have to play around with the software. It is set for PAL-B and seems to be set up correctly, but no. The framing's all wrong, so let me fix that and see if I can capture it. There it is, I got it. Just had to switch to PAL-M in there, and it looks really good, actually, for a VCR. So I'm going to record that and sit back and relax and watch the entire 22 minutes if you dare. Just try and stay awake. See ya.
your password is now installed.